Hey guys, this is my weekly fishing report for November 27th. Wishing all you and your families a happy Thanksgiving. So anyway, as you know, I just got back from Texas. So I was up there on a buddy of mine's ranch. It's called Little Bighorn. And you know, everything's big in Texas. I shot at the biggest deer I ever killed. It had 31 points. It scored 387.1. It was just a monster. And I caught catfish that were over 20, bass in the 3 to 6 pound range, perch that are 3 times bigger than your hand. I mean, it's just that ranch is just unbelievable. But I had a great time. I want to thank Ralph and Cheryl for the hospitality. They've been friends of mine for 40 years. They're from California and they moved to Texas 24 years ago, and love every minute of it. So anyway, I just had a great time, and I'm back here in town now. And first day I got back, I loaded the boat up and went to Berryessa, and that was yesterday. And took Dave and Denise. It was a little bit tougher than when I left here because I was on them pretty good. We still caught a lot of fish. We caught them spooning and caught them on the hooked up little tube. And we're hooking quite a few fish. They moved a little bit deeper than when I was catching them a couple weeks ago. They were down probably in around 50 to 58 feet. And we caught a lot of fish. Caught a salmon, caught 2 Eagle Lake trout, and a bunch of bass. But it was a good day overall. Getting a little cool, and it's probably going to pick up here really good. So I anticipate, I don't know if I'm going to head back up to Berryessa anymore this year. I think I'm going to start concentrating more on the delta and locate some stripers. But the bite's been kind of on and off, so I just have to get out there and see myself. Okay, so the ocean. Tuna fishing's been slow. That's normal this time of the year. It's slowing down a lot. Not a lot of guys even going after them. Dungeness crab has been off the hook this year. But I noticed there's a lot of smaller crab, where before it was mostly catching keepers versus little ones. Now it's more little ones versus keepers. So you have to do a 2-hour soak. They're supposed to be patrolling this year. So, if you're out there and you leave your traps for 4 hours because you go fishing, and don't be surprised if they come pulling up on you and sight you. So, it is a 2-hour window that you're supposed to soak. That's because of the, they don't want the whales getting tangled in the rope. But that's another story. And then commercial doesn't start till January 1 this year. So anyway, there's a lot of good crabbing out there, and I'm gonna head out there real quick. Probably next week. I was supposed to go today, but I didn't end up not going, and then I'm gonna probably go next week. Rock fishing's been off the hook. It's been crazy out there. All depths are open, so you can go fish at any depth you want. But the fishing's been really good. And in the fall is a time when those lingcods come in to spawn, so they'll come up shallower. And I've always fished in the Bodega area up north from there. And I'll move into anywhere from 25 feet down to 60 feet and catch big lings. And I did a video a couple years ago up there at Bodega, and I was showing you how I do it, because I catch a lot of big lings on jigs, but I also catch more on what you call hitchhiking, where you hook a fish and just hold it there, and then you feel something hanging on there, and that's a lot of fun. Can't set the hook because it'll come off. But anyway, rock fishing has been off the hook. If you want to go up there and jump on a boat, probably Rick Powers out of Bodega, and then if you want to go out of San Francisco, look at James Smith on the Caldon. His fleet, they kill them all the time. So right now it's a good time to go because they're doing combos where you get your 10 crab and your limit of rock cod and ling cod, and you just come in with a big haul. So that's what's going on right now in the ocean. San Francisco Bay is kind of slowed up because everybody's outside the gate. I'm sure you could pick up a few halibut because there's always some there. And then the shark fishing should be good because it doesn't get a whole lot of pressure. There's a few guys that take clients out. I know Ricky Ocusta does if he gets enough people. But, they have the different sharks in the bay, and there's a lot of them. So, you know, I know earlier in the year Ricky was doing trips and was catching 30 or 40 sharks. So, you know, it's something you want to do. And the liver sharks are pretty decent eating if you take care of them right. Okay, then we're going to move into the Delta, and one of the things that's going on really good right now is sturgeon fishing between Martinez and Pittsburgh. Remember, you need a report card. There's no fee on it. It's free. And, you know, basically they do all their number counts of fish by these report cards. So in the past where you had to pay for it, a lot of guys didn't even fill them out or anything. And what it did in the long run is it hurt you, because now you can't fish for them. You can't keep any. You can fish for them now, but you can't keep any. And there's a season. It's not open all year. And then also the best bait has been roe, but, you know, shrimp will work and eel, I'm sure. But roe is a hot bait right now. I know Jay was in Bodega, but he's going to take his boat out, I think, next week. And he'll be in the Martinez and Pittsburgh area catching a lot of sturgeon. So he's a guy you might want to call. Ricky Acosta and Steve Mitchell. Those are the guys you might want to call if you want to go do one of these trips and fight 10 or 20 of those things. And it's just been really good. Stripers are starting to move in the system. I've been seeing a lot of reports of guys catching nice ones. But I noticed that most of them that are catching them are guys that are trolling, so they're actually covering a lot of water. They're pulling yozuris with a trick worm on the back, and, you know, they're probably in 15 to 20 feet of water. I know you can spoon them if you find them, and, you know, pretty soon they'll be in these shallow flats when the water cools. And I'll be in, you know, up north fishing these big flats in 1 to 3 feet of water, catching monsters. And that's all here real quick as the weather's starting to cool down and we get a little rain in the system. But there is, you know, it's been really tough, but I think anticipate real quick here that it's going to just bust wide open here real quick. Also, they're catching a lot of fish, stripers, on bait fishing. Usually in the wintertime, you know, mudsuckers are the best. Then you could catch them on shad or anchovies, sardines, and, you know, a lot of guys use bluegill. You use bluegill, you have to catch them in the same water that you're fishing. You can't transport them. So, you know, those are all good baits, and they're catching a lot of them on bait right now. You know, I've been seeing a lot of results, even in the Sacramento River. I see they're catching them. Bass fishing, weather starts cooling off. Up north, it gets really well. I got friends been going out there and they've been catching them in the weed flats still, and they're catching them on top water. I'll be going out there in the next few days, and I'm going to go out there, try the grass and try chatterbaits top water. But I guarantee you I'll be picking up that flipping stick and doing a little flipping and punching. So the bass bite's been really good there. The rivers, you know, like the American and the Feather and the Sacramento River is producing some stripers. One of the guys, if you really want to contact a guy, Kevin Brock, Ricky Acosta, they do the striper fishing. I think Austin Wilson's also doing it in the river here. And steelhead season is here. You know, as the salmon go past, the steelhead follow. And the Feather and the American are probably the two better rivers to fish. And remember, you got to have that steelhead report card. Usually the first batch that come up will go up to the Feather River. I used to go up there all the time and catch the heck out of them on salmon roe. But if you need a guy to take you, Austin Wilson or Kyler Perry, even Kevin Brock, he does all that. So, you know, you can give one of them guys a call. So that season is right around the corner. And usually the big ones come in after January 1, when certain parts of the rivers close and then they open them up. That's when they get those big steelhead. Okay, lakes, the bass fishing is really good. You know, like I said, I just went yesterday. In the fall, I really pick up that spooning rod and catch a lot of fish on that. But I've been using that hooked up bait and also Gitzits with that forward facing, you know, the new Humminbird Mega 2 forward facing I put on the boat. It's unbelievable. You know, it's really helped me. The mapping's helped me. And basically, I'm able to follow the bait balls around. And now I'm getting to where I could get them to bite, and then when I see the fish on the screen, I could usually tell you whether it's a smallmouth or a largemouth. Because a smallmouth will come darting up 10 feet before it comes down and eat it, where the largemouth are more settled closer to the bottom. It's easier to see the smallmouth than the spotted bass. As a largemouth will hang on the bottom, and when the fish is down hugging the bottom, you can't see them on a live target. That's why I have two 12-inch screens up front, and I have a 2D on one and live target on the other, so I could see them. So the ones that are on the bottom, I could actually see the arcs or little arcs across the screen, so I know that there's fish there. So that's why I run 2 units in front, so I'm able to use one or the other and see them at all times. So if you want to do that spooning stuff and up at Berryessa, you know, one of the guys you might want to get a hold of is Don Paganelli. He's been going up there for the last 2 months and catching them. So anyway, I'm sure Oroville, Shasta, Folsom, you know, all the lakes are getting pretty good. Usually when fall turns and the weather starts turning, the fish will start feeding like crazy. But you got to make sure you contact the lake and see if they have it to be decontaminated. So if your boat needs to be decontaminated, you're almost like, you know, last month I've been going to Berryessa because my boat's tagged for there. If I take it somewhere else, I got to decontaminate again. I got to, you know, it's just a pain. So until they get that to where the green tag will work everywhere, you know, you're kind of restricted to just go to one lake, which is crazy. So, but all those lakes should be good right now. Trout fishing, Pyramid Lake is still going crazy. I know the guys up there are catching a lot of them, but they're all trolling now, and they're catching a lot of big fish. And there's not too many guys that go up there, but J.D. Ritchie is one of the ones that guides up in there. Eagle Lake, if you want to go catch a lot of trout, anything in like red and gold trode seems to be working the best, and they're getting 3 to 4 pound rainbows out of there. And you know, here again, a lot of times if you want to go that far and you go in the blind, you know, you don't want to take a chance, it's better to hire a guide. And you know, all these guys I'm telling you are top-notch guys, and Tim Noxon's the guy you want to get a hold of up there. Sierra Lakes has been good. A lot of good reports, like Freshman, Union Valley, Ice House. I'm sure you can catch trout in all those lakes. Berryessa has been on fire. It's been on fire this whole year. Big Nate's the guy to get a hold of up there. The king salmon fishing's been kind of hit and miss. I caught one yesterday with a spoon in like 55 feet of water. But I'm sure that Oroville, Folsom, you know, if you're trolling, you could catch them. And here again, if you need a guy, call Brett Brady. Delta crappie has been kind of on and off. We got into them pretty good a couple times, but I just haven't had time to go back. I looked at Berryessa yesterday for them, and I couldn't find any. So, you know, I think the weather needs to cool down a little. As soon as it starts getting really cold at nights, that season will pick up here real quick. Okay, and then don't forget, you know, if you want a blind squirrel, he's been up at Berryessa. He's got a YouTube channel, so if you want to go up there, check it out. He'll show you how he's doing it. He's having double hitters and everything else. And every Saturday morning, I'm on California Sportsman's at 6:40 a.m. Usually the first of the month, I'll go in there and in the studio, so I talk to everybody that's out there. But normally I do come on at 6:40 every Saturday. So anyway, also, you know, if you guys are looking for a boat, you might want to call Gone Fishing. He does repairs on everything, trolling motors, electronics, everything. You know, if you're looking for electronics, he's a good guy to go talk to it about. You know, this Duckworth boat here that I'm sitting in has Lowrance. That's who I was with for 40 years, and now I switched to Humminbird, and I'm not sorry. The units are working better than I ever thought they would, and it's actually upped my game. Using it at Berryessa has just opened my eyes, and they do more coloration, so it's easier to see things. But anyway, Gone Fishing, you know, they do sales on electronics, they install them, they do everything. Just tell Mark that I sent you, and then he'll cut you a deal. Also, they do decontaminating, but only for Folsom and Berryessa. So you have to go online, you can make an appointment, or just drive in there and they'll get to you sooner or later. I'm also still doing consulting on electronics. So if you need help, I either take you out in my boat, which I have 3 hummingbirds and 1 Lowrance in there, so I could show you. And then if you want to learn about forward facing and any of that stuff, I do all that. So it's best to just call me because I don't have a website. I took it down. So you can just call me or text me at 916-761-7594 and leave me a message and I'll get back to you. So if you like the video, hit that like, please subscribe, and if you got a comment, just leave it and I'll get back to you within a couple days. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and I'll see you next week.